One of my favourite things about Football Manager is unearthing some incredible wonder kids to take you to Champions League glory. Today I want to take you through a list of FM23 wonder kids that I found using the in-game editor that may have gone under the radar just a little bit. I guarantee there are going to be some players in this list that you have never heard of before, so if you do hear a new name, make sure you do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Before we jump into the list though, it's probably actually quite important to explain potential ability in Football Manager. In the game's code, every single player is rated out of 200, and obviously the higher, the better. A player might have a current ability of 100, but a potential ability of 150, and that 150 is what the player's current ability could be if they get absolutely everything right across their career. Optimized training, performances, match time, everything. Obviously not every single player is going to reach their potential ability, and as players get older, their current ability is going to drop off. That's why you might see some players with insane potential abilities but really low current ability. For example, Ronaldo and Messi at the moment as they drop off in their careers. For young players, it is impossible to know exactly how good they're going to be. So Football Manager gives them a potential ability range, which differs every time you load up a new save file. This is done to add some variability to your saves to make sure you're not starting the same players every single time, and also because in truth, no one actually knows how good they're going to be, because no one can categorically say how good a 16-year-old from Uzbekistan is going to be in the future. There's no actual way to know. So these current ability ranges follow a pattern. The very best current ability range is 200 to 170. And when you drop down a level to 190 to 160, and then 180 to 150, and so on and so forth. In this video, the lowest potential ability range that you're going to see is 140 to 170. That means that for some players in this video, the lowest possible current ability that they could have in your save file, if you're quite unlucky, is 140. In case you're wondering, 140 is the current ability of players in Football Manager such as Gio Reyna, Moussa Dembele, and Danny Ceballos. So they're all pretty decent players at a top level. So worst case scenario, the potential ability of these players in this video is of a very good top flight player. Now there's only one player in the FM23 database with a potential ability range of 170 to 200. And that is Endrick, who is a 16-year-old winger currently playing for Palmeiras. That means if you get lucky in your save file, his potential ability will be 200, which is higher than that of Haaland and Mbappe. So hopefully that's explained things a little bit. Let's actually get into this list of wonder kids, and we'll start off with the PSG centre mid wonder kid, Warren Emery. Yeah, I know, they're stealing wonder kids before we even get a chance to play with them in Football Manager. But to be fair, he did come through their youth system and signed for them in 2014. He's described as being both good at winning the ball and launching plays, so offers a lot of balance to the midfield. And for 16 years old, his attributes are already incredible, particularly things like determination, vision, really high up there as well at 15 and 13. He will mould into a wonderful player in the future. Moving now to Belgium and going to Anderlecht, we're looking at Julian Durnville. He's a 16-year-old winger who looks insane. In reality, he's already notched up 6 appearances in the Jupiler Pro League and 4 in the Europa Conference League, including 45 minutes against West Ham. He can play on both wings, as you can see, but is mostly utilised on the left-hand side with his 14 dribbling, 15 pace and 17 acceleration. Likes to cut inside with his right foot, and I think in future is going to be one of the top wingers in the world. But let's move a little closer to home, at least closer to home for me, and we're going to go to Leeds United and Archie Gray, who is a 16-year-old centre midfielder who's got really high potential ability in Football Manager. He's already making waves in the Premier League too, playing against some of the best under-21 players in England, with 2 goals from 4 appearances so far. With work permits proving to be a real issue in Football Manager, because this guy is English, if you're playing an English save, it might be easier to try and sign him than some of the players already mentioned. Also, if you're wondering where I'm getting this information on these young players, I'm using the One Football app, the best football app out there to keep up to date with all the latest football news, scores and updates. Simply just search up your favourite players and you can find all of their stats for the season, which is what I find really interesting. I like to keep up to date with these young players to see how they're doing in real life. You can also watch live football on there as well at the moment, including live fixtures every weekend from Serie A, which is really cool. If you really want to help me and the channel out, you can download the One Football app from the top line of the description just below the like button. But we've now looked at a few midfielders. How about a striker? And sticking within England, we're going to go to Emery, a name which I probably absolutely butchered just now. But he is a 16-year-old 18-year-old striker currently playing for Stoke with some really high attributes, particularly the 15 finishing and 13 composure. In reality, he has scored 9 goals in 10 appearances for the England youth team, which is not bad. He has recently just signed a 3-year deal with Stoke, but if Stoke are as bad in your game as they are in my Lincoln City stream save over on Twitch, link down in the description for that one, then Stoke will pretty quickly get relegated to League One and won't be able to get back out of it again, meaning you should be able to pick this guy up for not too much money. But let's move to the centre-back spot, and currently having a breakout season in real life is Antonio Silva of Benfica. The 18-year-old has the best current ability out of all the players I'm showcasing in today's video at 132, meaning that reaching his potential ability, because he's only 18 years old, shouldn't actually be that difficult. He should be able to reach it in most save files, meaning he'll be one of the best centre-backs in the world. Now, he might be quite difficult to get off Benfica's hands, having just signed a new contract up until 2027, but believe me, he will be worth it. But if you haven't got the money to bring in Antonio Silva, maybe you need to look for the player that Benfica will hope will replace Antonio Silva one day. And that is Agnesca. At the start of the game, only 15 years old, but already looks absolutely superb, particularly in the mental attributes such as 16 determination and a resolute personality. Now, he's born in 2006, and the only information I could actually properly find on him is actually on Portuguese websites because he's so young. He's not really involved in a lot of databases such as OneFootball. But I did find some information about him on some Portuguese websites, and it turns out he's already played in the UEFA Youth Champions Leagues against the likes of PSG, Juventus, and Maccabi Haifa, as well as 6 caps for Portugal's under-17 squad. And he's only 15 years old. Anyone playing 2 years above their age in the national setup, as well as playing already in the UEFA Youth League, they need to be taken seriously, and this guy I think will be a star. Now, we haven't spoken about a goalkeeper yet, and this one is someone that I really don't think you will have heard of. To make sure he's in your game, you might have to load up the Nigerian leagues in particular, or at least players from Nigeria or Africa, to make sure he comes up, because here is Nathaniel Noosu, and he's a 16-year-old Nigerian keeper currently playing for Water FC. Now, as you can see, for a 16-year-old, he's bloody good. He is the youngest keeper that I could find in the database with the highest potential ability, which is why I had him selected for this video. Now, in-game, as you can see, he's got 4 caps for the under-20s already, but in real life, he's already making appearances for the under-23 international team of Nigeria, which is mental considering he's 16 years old. And of course, with Nigeria having a great history of producing some top quality players, obviously this guy is going to be the next big thing from there. I expect to see him in 10 years' time winning Champions Leagues. Now, surprisingly, we've not even been to South America yet, but let's head over there right now to Argentina, to Rosario Central's for Kundo, Juana, Notte. Now, actually, you're going to struggle to sign him right off the bat because in reality, he's already joining Brighton in real life in January, and that is reflected in Football Manager. Brighton obviously doing some good scouting out in South America. But doing some research on this guy, he's already played 32 times for Rosario Central's senior team at 17 years old. If at 17 years old he's already a regular starter in Argentina, he's not going to be far off starting in Europe's top leagues, and as you can see from his attributes, he already looks really, really good, particularly again that high determination, the teamwork and work rate are pretty decent as well. There's no real weakness to his game. He looks to be more of a jack of all trades right now, as opposed to a someone who's going to run fast and cross the ball in the middle. That's all they can do. He's a bit more of a jack of all trades, and I really like that in players. Now let's stick with South American nationalities, but actually move to the MLS this time. I'm going to go to Colombian John Duran, who plays for Chicago Fire. Now, 18 years old, he scored 8 times in 27 appearances for Chicago Fire this past season, which doesn't really sound like much. But you have to remember that Chicago Fire are atrocious. They're the worst team probably in MLS. I mean, Chicago only scored 39 goals this season, meaning that this guy got 20% of those goals, and if you add in his 5 assists, that takes it up to 33% of Chicago's goal contributions have come via John. He's already got caps for Colombia's national team as well, and rumour has it Liverpool are in for him, so make sure you're quick to get him in-game. We've also not spoken about any wing-backs yet, so let's talk wing-back, and we're going to go to Brazil and Sao Paulo to start off with for Patrick Lanza, who has been described by the Brazilian Football Federation as one of 18 players from Brazil who could go on to win the Ballon d'Or in the future. Now, either Brazil have got an incredible golden generation coming through, or their football federation are just hyping these players up a little bit too much. This guy could certainly be right up there though, because he has got some fantastic potentiality in Football Manager. However, he's only made one senior appearance for Sao Paulo, but of course at 19 years old, he's maybe not expected to do that, particularly because the Brazilian top flight is probably the best league in all of South America. So for him to break into the team will be quite difficult, but I'm sure if he keeps developing at the rate he's at, he will do soon. And finally, I want to talk about Javon Simmons, a 16-year-old attacking midfielder through the middle or on the right-hand side who plays for PSV. He's the son actually of Jerry Simmons, who played 117 times in the Eredivisie, but I don't believe he's related to Javon Simmons, who also plays coincidentally for PSV. Now, from my research, he's not actually played a whole lot of football, but did score 17 goals in 14 appearances in the youth teams at some point, and anyone who's scoring more goals than games played at any level of football is a baller in my opinion, and I reckon this guy could be going on for some big things. Already got some really good technicals, mentals and physicals, and if you can train him in the right way, could be a world-class winger or playmaker through the middle in the future. And there you go, that's my pick of top wonder kids in Football Manager 23 that you guys need to be signing. Make sure you train them in the right way though to make sure they develop. And if you want to see the effects of top quality training facilities on a club, watch this video right here to see what happens when a non-league club gets the top facilities in Football Manager.